Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, your master of fun and wonder, your viceroy of verisimilitude, and, as John Campea calls me, your existential Mr. Rogers. That's right, me, Robert Meyer Burnett, and this is the John Campea Show Mailbag for Friday, April 1st, 2022. As you know, the John Campea Show airs 10 a.m. Pacific Time every weekday, and if you would like to get a live question read on the air right before we go on, you can fire in a super chat for a couple of minutes before they fill up. But however, we leave our tip line open 24/7 all the time, and you can ask a question any time of the day or night, and if we deem it appropriate, we'll answer it here on the mailbag. The link is in the description. So once again, I'm flying solo, and we're just going to, jump right into it, fly right into it. We're getting right into it. And here we go. Our first question, our first tip, comes from AJ Shark. It says, "Howdy, Chris. What's your favorite line from the Muppet Christmas Carol? Mine is even the vegetables don't like him." Chris isn't here. But you know what? I think I can call her. And I always like to start out these mailbags to see, if I can maybe get some kind of an answer. I mean, maybe I can. I don't know. Let's see. I'll call her on the phone. I don't think I've ever you know what? I don't even have her phone number. I guess I can't. So I can't tell you the answer to this question. I feel bad. And The Muppet Christmas Carol is a movie I don't know as well as I should. So I guess I can't call her and ask her. So I apologize for that, AJ Shark. But I promise you, one day we're going to get you that answer. The ABK sends in a tip and says, "For those folks who are missing the more fantastical in the Batman universe, we might get to see that in the upcoming Batman animated series produced by Matt Reeves with Abrams and Tim. It would be a perfect place to blend that vibe with fantasy. Thoughts?" Well, the ABK, I agree with you. I mean, obviously, I think the high water mark for Batman animation was, of course, the Batman animated series, and it had a heady brew of the fantastical, and I think you're absolutely right. That's a great place to do it, and it'll be curious to see how Matt Reeves and his fellow producers, especially bringing back Bruce Timm, how that could all go down. So I'm there for that, and I'm sure it's going to be a great show. I don't know who's doing the animation or what style they're doing it in, but man, sounds good to me. I certainly would watch that. It's-a-me, Morbius, sends in a tip and says, "John, I wish I could share your eternal optimism in all film. I was underwhelmed with the Morbius trailers. The reviews are abysmal, just like Venom, which I regard as mediocre. I hope Sony doesn't use Andrew Garfield. His Spider-Man has suffered enough." Well, you know what? I can't argue with that. I can't argue with that. It's-a-me, Morbius. Although, I would like to see Andrew Garfield come back, to be honest. Come on, I really kind of would. But yeah, Morbius was mediocre, and you're not wrong. I mean, John likes the Venom movies a lot more than I do. I just think the Venom movies are kind of goofy, which I think is kind of weird. But, it's not like I don't hate them. I find them entertaining, but not my jam if I was given a choice, to have any kind of a Spider-Man movie. Lisa J sends in a tip and says, "Any theories, ideas about Warner Brothers having an alternate PR strategy for The Flash if Ezra can't get it together? Wouldn't it be just prudent that Plan B would be to really push Keaton's return? He can do the press. I also wonder what MK is thinking of all of this." Whew. I don't know what Michael Keaton's a consummate professional. It probably really bothers him, and usually when actors have a really good time working together, which I think they probably did, it always bums people out. So it's never a good thing when this kind of stuff goes down. Nobody wants this kind of thing to ever happen. So I'm sure he's bummed out. They might focus on Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck, but hopefully Ezra Miller will get obviously he's going through something. He'll get the help he needs, we hope, before the movie comes out. At least I would hope so. You never want these things to happen. They're bad for the studio. They're bad for the actor. Most importantly, it's bad for them. Something's going on there, and I hope he gets the help he needs, because the studio certainly doesn't need this headache. Beverly Hills Messiah. No spoilers. I saw the post-credit scenes for Morbius online, and I'm sad. I wish I didn't contribute money to Venom in 2018. I feel like I helped empower Sony to push forward with this cockamamie plan. I'll be returning my Morbius tickets. Well, yeah, that's kind of it. I mean, Morbius, in this day and age, I don't think there's really an excuse for this kind of movie. I mean, it made $5 million in previews. Maybe they'll make some money back. Look, it does nobody any good when movies fail. I never want movies to fail. This is not something I ever want. I don't ever want that to happen. But unfortunately, sometimes it does, and you never want it to. But I can understand returning your tickets. I'd say go and watch it, because I love going to the movies, even if the movies are not good. But there's things to be had in Morbius that I think are, it's not a complete, well, maybe it is, but I don't know. I learn from movies that I don't like, movies that I find less than successful. But yeah, I don't know if you want to spend the time. Life's too short. Jack's sense of humor says, I saw Lost City, and when they called Brad Pitt's character, he was eating cereal when he answered, just like he did in Fight Club. Am I the only one who finds this funny? If Brad keeps doing it, it could become his signature recurring bit. Stay sweaty. You say sweetie here, but I'll say sweaty. Jack, that's very funny and nice Fight Club reference with Jack's sense of humor. I haven't seen the movie yet, but that's very funny, and I'm sure absolutely that was totally intentional. I do have 2 very nice 6-scale Tyler Durden action figures, though. They're very cool. And one comes with a chair, which is always better. But I love that. I didn't know they did that. That's very funny. Jared Leto's abs sends in a tip and says, John Watts gave us a great Vulture. When I left Morbius, I thought of The Godfather. Look at how they massacred my boy. Why must Sony insist on hiring garbage writers? Also, listen to the score. They blatantly stole the soundtrack from Batman Begins. We were talking about that today. They totally, that scene with the bats swirling around Jared Leto, swirling around Michael Morbius, it was so blatant. I'm like, really, guys? Seriously? You see that and you're like, come on, man. Come on. But you know what the thing is? A studio would rather hire writers that have written theatrically released movies than new, untried writers. But look what we get, man. I was even a defender of Gods of Egypt. I guess that ship has sailed. I won't do that again. So, a bummer. Balakay sends in a tip and says, steak time, but a well-done steak recommendation. Awful server. Medium rare or medium is the way. Coming from a steak cook, will say love to have seen it as a movie too, like Rob said, but the show will allow new character to have more depths and details. Well, Balakay, yes. I would love to have seen a Moon Knight movie, but yes, this lengthier running time will allow more depth, and you'll see more of Stephen Grant, or who do we know what's going on? I don't know. Mark Spector, Stephen Grant, Jake Lockley, Duchamp, Frenchie, his trusted Frenchie was on the phone. I think there's a lot more to this than we're seeing. In terms of steak, my favorite's a nice filet mignon, just filet, and I do like it medium rare. So that is my favorite steak. I love filet mignon. Love it, love it, love it. I can't get enough. Solid Crusader 89 sends in a tip and says, hey everyone, shout out from Virginia. Did you hear that the new DC series has been in rumor called Blue Beetle, and apparently Sharon Stone is rumored to be playing a villain role called Victoria. Actually, it's not Crod, it's Victoria Cord. Are you folks excited about it? Have a good one. Well, I'm always excited about Sharon Stone. Always. First of all, I've never been to Virginia. It's one of the states in the Union I haven't been to. I always wanted to go, so shout out to you coming from there. But yeah, we talked about the Blue Beetle show coming out, and there's been some images from Blue Beetle online, and of course Philip Boutte Jr., who worked on the Blue Beetle series, I interviewed for our Designing Hollywood podcast, which is amazing. And yeah, so that's all good stuff, and I'm excited about it. I've always loved the various iterations of the Blue Beetle character. I'm a big Ted Cord fan, so Victoria Cord, what does that mean? I don't know. but I want to find out. So Solid Crusader, count me in. Dave, just Dave, sends in a tip and said, I'd love to see some multiverse shenanigans establish a fresh take on Wolverine. There's so much potential for someone new to pick up the claws and stand amongst the Avengers. A cameo in Doctor Strange 2 followed by a Disney Plus series would be fun. Any general thoughts? Well, Dave, I mean, obviously, I think Wolverine is a marquee character in the X-Men, and I like how Bryan Singer's X-Men, that was 22 years ago, my God, used Wolverine to sort of have us, that was the audience's proxy to get into the world of X-Men, which I thought was great. I really love that, and I think they'll probably do that again. You know, Taron Egerton, Wolverine's short. I'd love to see them go more the comic route with Wolverine. I mean, Hugh Jackman is a tall, strapping guy. I think Wolverine being more like the comic Wolverine, where he's much shorter, might be cool. I don't know who they'll get to play him, but I love me some Wolverine. So, you know, maybe we'll see him as part of Doctor Strange 2. I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see. But I think if they introduce him, they really need to introduce him with the full Avengers, with the Avengers, but through the what am I saying? That they should introduce Wolverine with the X-Men like they did in 2000, because I think that worked really, really well. Scott Brown, 1 of 2, says, Morbius was dog shit. I don't understand what Sony is doing. First, they make these movies without the main character, Spider-Man. Second, they're turning his villains into anti-heroes. So if they ever do meet, I guess they'll just sit around for 2 hours drinking. Drinking beer and playing pool. Third, they're making these movies in this cheesy, overacting, terrible dialogue, Batman and Robin 90s style that no one wants. They've killed this universe already. I have no interest in Kraven now, and he is in no way an anti-hero, so I'm done. Well, Scott, I have to tell you, I mean, I don't think you're wrong here. You know, Venom was a character they could have made scary. They've made him goofy. I mean, a lot of people enjoy Venom and everything, and John certainly does. I mean, while I found some of it amusing, I found a lot of it really goofy, and I just don't quite understand that particular take. Like, why go that direction? It's weird, and it is goofy, and I don't know if it entirely works. And I think you're right. I mean, Morbius, to me, it's a watershed moment. Kraven could still be a great film, but they have to remember that when you're creating Kraven is I don't want to see some weird, I think that's a 90s superhero take, a Batman and Robin take. I want to see this stuff set in a world that I believe in. The funny thing about these villain movies so far, we've had 3 of them, they don't take place, I mean, the Venom character, the way he's portrayed with Tom Hardy, I don't believe that Venom would exist in the MCU. It's a goofier take. It's more of a comic booky take, and I don't dig it like you. I hope they do Kraven in a much more realistic fashion. I'm not saying they have to like make it like Zero Dark 30, but maybe they do. Maybe they do have to make it like Zero Dark 30 or something like that. Because I want something more realistic and gritty, and Kraven is a realistically gritty character, and I hope that they, in fact, do something like that. I really do. Alan Horn's Horn sends in a tip and says, John, U.S. and Mexico men's soccer teams just sealed their returns to the FIFA World Cup this year, and Canada are also making their first return since 1986. Are you excited, even though Italy somehow didn't qualify? Well, Alan Horn's Horn, you know what? Even Italy got to stay on their toes. They can't just rest on their laurels. I love the fact that Mexico and the U.S. are in the World Cup. Maybe the U.S. will make a better showing than last time, and seeing Canada play. You know what? Just because it's been so long for Canada, and I stream with John Campea, I think I'm gonna throw my own flag waving behind the Canucks. Why not? I'd love to see Canada go far in the World Cup. I don't know what's going to happen when they're going to come up against, say, I don't know, Brazil, but we'll see. I think it's pretty neat. Baldy says, I rewatched the trailers to Morbius because of the Michael Keaton situation. I don't think they ever intended for that footage to be in the movie. Reminded me of Mandarin in Iron Man 3. A lot of words, but not saying anything, generic enough to fit anywhere. You could be right about that, but why do that? I think what I objected to during the post-credit scene is it made no sense. It's almost like maybe because the movie was finished before Spider-Man No Way Home. They didn't have a chance to say, look at this and think to themselves, say, well, wait a minute. How does this multiverse thing work? And why is Vulture stuck in this universe? It didn't make a lick of sense to me. And I don't understand, what were they trying to accomplish? Because it didn't work. I thought it was different than the Mandarin. Look, just because it wasn't the Mandarin that we wanted, I kind of like what they did in Iron Man 3. It was just different. I know people are like, well, it's a bait and switch. But, now seeing the real Mandarin in Shang-Chi, it's all vindicated. I really enjoyed seeing Trevor again. LT says, Steven, a.k.a. Mark, a.k.a. Moon Knight, has the same disorder, dissociative identity disorder, as Kevin the Beast from the movie Split. I just find it interesting. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, the way they're playing with that, it's terrifying. I mean, obviously in Split, it was really terrifying. In this, it was just, I felt for him. I felt for Steven. And to have that kind of mental illness and not know where you are, or when you are, or what's going on. I mean, I thought they handled it very well in Moon Knight. I want to see where that's going to go. That's obviously not how the character originated. That was something that came about pretty late in the character's life. I mean, he's been around since 1975, and it really wasn't until the last 15 or 20 years that they've sort of leaned into that aspect of Moon Knight. But I thought they did a good job. I enjoyed it. And I really enjoyed the show. So our friend Stubble McShay from Sweden says, in retrospect, it feels a bit icky that the Razzies had a Bruce Willis category. I don't blame the Razzies. They must feel shit about having the category. It feels like making fun of someone who's sick. It's just not right. You know what? I agree with you, but they didn't know that. And even though it's all for fun and games, I think that the fact that they rescinded their category, at least they were mindful. I mean, people didn't know, to be fair. They didn't know he was sick, Stubble. And I think once they did find out that they pulled that down, I think that was the right thing to do. But I think you're right. They were making fun of someone who's sick. They just didn't know he was sick. Old Danny Boy says, hey, John and Rob. Oh, it's Rob. You mentioned that there hasn't been any promotion for Thor 4, but my local MJR theater must have made a mistake because the poster is hanging in their lobby. Next time I'll go take a picture and send it to Rob. Well, old Danny Boy, I would love to see it. I want to say, have I seen a poster for Love and Thunder? Maybe they actually had one, or as John pointed out on the show today, sometimes people use fan-made posters, print them out, and put them up. Maybe they did something like that. I don't know. I don't think I've seen it. I'd be curious as to what it looks like. But if there is a poster out, they might have had it recently. Has it been hanging there for a while? Because if there's posters that were sent to theaters this week, maybe we'll see a trailer soon. I think it'd be great. Geek Lizzie sends in a tip and says, hey, John, if you had to give up Marvel or DC forever, which one would you choose? For me, I'd give up DC because I get so much more entertainment when it comes to Marvel. Geek Lizzie, I agree with you. I would keep Marvel. There's been more movies there. It's more cohesive. I like all the characters. There's much more variety in the films. So yeah, I would go with Marvel. Although, can I keep Richard Donner's Superman? Because I would want to keep that. Anonymous sends in a tip and says, if the Academy asked the Smiths to leave and they were escorted out, keep in mind, it's all the same players from Oscar's Two White Snub from 2016. The fallout could have been much worse on Monday than what we had. Anonymous, I agree. And from the time we did the show today to now when I'm recording this, Will Smith himself has decided to resign from the Academy, sparing any kind of punishment they would have sent in his direction. I don't quite know how I feel about it because I just found this out before I recorded this mailbag, so I don't know where or what to think yet. I still have to have time to think about it. But, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It would have been much worse. Much worse, especially because it was really the first Oscars that were ever presided over by a black production team. It was mostly a black production team that produced the Oscars, and I thought they did a very good job. And all the way around, it could have turned into something really bad and really ugly, uglier than it was. So I think you're absolutely right. Anonymous says, I'm paying my first donation just to beg you to see Pennyworth. I wasn't interested at all, but was surprised by how amazing it is. Great acting, great writing, and very well shot. After Peacemaker, it's DC's best. You know what, Anonymous? I've watched a few episodes of Pennyworth, and I would agree with you. I was really surprised. It's pretty lushly produced. I quite enjoyed it, but I haven't watched a lot of it. But based on your tip, I think I'll have to sit down and watch the whole first season. I know it got renewed. It's coming back. And people have told me that. You're not the only one. So it's pretty exciting. I look forward to seeing it. Or seeing more of it. Sam Weiser, Gamgee, says, hey guys, I heard Sony is renaming... Hey guys, I heard Sony is renaming their vampire comic book movie to Rigor Morbius. Bring on the filthy. That's pretty funny. I you know what? I'm gonna highlight this and put this up on Twitter because that's pretty funny, man. And of course, you'll get full credit, Sam Weiser. I feel terrible too. Dr. Nova says, as a Superman fan, I have absolutely no idea where people get that Superman doesn't kill. Hang on. Dr. Nova says, as a Superman fan, I have absolutely no idea where people got the Superman doesn't kill thing from. Superman kills aliens all the time. In Superman 2, he depowered Zod and threw him off a cliff to his death. I don't know if he actually threw him off a cliff. He's, how far up was that? but yeah, I don't either. Jay Bling. Oh, here we go. This should be interesting. Jay Bling sends in a tip and says, 1 of 3. I can guess Rob's specific storyline for Basic Instinct 3. Catherine Trammell's protege grooming involved psychological manipulation, which led previous proteges getting committed to mental hospitals or worse. Things are different with the Margot Robbie protege, however. Instead of getting committed to a mental hospital or worse, she is driven to kill Trammell, which is what Trammell wanted her protege to do all along. In summary, the protege becomes the master by killing the master. Basic Instinct 3, rule of 2. Wink, 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 wink. Well, Jay Bling, that's, I hadn't really thought it through that much, but that's actually not a bad idea. But, I like the idea that Catherine Trammell never had a daughter of her own, and they developed this weird, twisted dynamic, but something along those lines I think could be really, really interesting. And, really delve into why did Catherine Trammell do these things? I mean, what was it about her? Paul Verhoeven, I once read an interview on Basic Instinct where Verhoeven says he considered Catherine Trammell to be the devil. And I like that. Well, if that's the case, then her character would be after the soul of someone, and turning an innocent into a killer could be something very, very cool, I think. Of course, what does that say about me and you, since you went down this rabbit hole with me? And I thank you for it, because well done, sir. Well done. Little Darklighter sends in a tip and says, hi, guys. About the Thor 4 marketing earlier, if I remember correctly, Spider-Man Far From Home, the trailer, dropped a week after Endgame's release because of spoilers in the Far From Home trailer. Could this be the same situation with Thor 4 and Doctor Strange 2? Thanks, and have a great day. It could very well be. I've thought about it. Again, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is no longer like a regular film. It's not like all of the upcoming stuff. Moon Knight and Doctor Strange, their own existence is furthering the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's not like you have to make awareness about Thor: Love and Thunder from scratch. People know the Marvel Universe movies are coming. Obviously, the first time we ever saw anything from Doctor Strange was actually in Spider-Man No Way Home in credits. So it could be something along those lines. It's just that No Way Home came out in December, and Doctor Strange is coming out in May. But May, June, July, 2.5 months, I don't know. I mean, maybe we'll see a Love and Thunder trailer, or maybe, in fact, we will have to wait because the Multiverse of Madness, the Thor, something might be in that trailer that will tip something off. Or maybe they don't want anyone to know anything post Multiverse of Madness. I don't know. I think you might be right. That could be. Could be. The Batman says, John, you were remembering it wrong back in the 60s. I was smarter and planned more. The bat shark repellent was not in my belt, but was in the Batcopter. I, the Batman, planned for a midair shark attack, and I was right to do so. Well, you know what? The Batman, clearly you'd seen Sharknado. You'd clearly planned for Sharknado, so you had bat repellent in the Batcopter, or shark repellent in the Batcopter, to repel sharks if, in fact, you found yourself in a Sharknado. Which just, once again, speaks to the foresight that you have, Batman. Well done. Sony giving us more BS. Sends in a tip. Oh no. The writers of Madam Web are the same as Morbius, Gods of Egypt, Last Witch Hunter, and Dracula Untold. For why? I beg you not to pay for Morbius. Stream it if you must. Otherwise, you encourage Sony to deliver unto us more of this mediocrity. Yeah, I don't understand, to be honest. I mean, maybe they write these good scripts, or I really don't understand. I mean, I thought part of Morbius's problem was its script and its approach and all that. For why? I didn't realize that. Maybe they'll have different writers. But you know what? If, as John says, winning cures everything, and maybe somehow Morbius is going to wind up making a lot of money. I hope not, but it might, which wouldn't be so great, to be honest. For why? I love that. I'm not happy about that, though. I wish you hadn't told me that. Now I'm depressed. Roy says, if Will Packer told Will Smith to stay after the Academy told him to leave, that tells me that he cared more about ratings and not about the well-being of Chris Rock. Also, Tiffany Haddish's comments about Will standing up for his woman is garbage. I thought she was a comic. Yeah, I mean, look, the whole situation is unfortunate, and it was just, it could have been exacerbated it could have become a firestorm of controversy. I think what they tried to do is do everything they could in an unfortunate situation to keep the focus back on the Academy. You know, if they had taken Will Smith out, I loved seeing Questlove win for Summer of Soul. And remember, you had a black-produced show the first time that was predominantly black producers producing the Oscars. You had Will Smith, you had Chris Rock, and an award being given, a first-time Best Documentary Award to Questlove for something that was celebrating a chapter in black history that has been overlooked. If they had taken Will Smith out, there's nothing good that would have come of that. And everybody was trying to do the best they could in a difficult situation. Tiffany Haddish, I think that was a wrong take. And I'm a huge Tiffany Haddish fan. But that wasn't cool. I mean, if you want to defend your woman's honor, and I'm all for that, sometimes you should wait until the moment is appropriate and then defend her honor. This is not a bar situation. You have the entire planet looking here, and Will Smith really made it personal, and it was business. Make no mistake, it was on the clock. It wasn't good. Royce says, so Jada has alopecia apparently. She went public with it, but just because you go public with something doesn't mean that everyone in the world knows about it. She also made a video saying she doesn't care what people think about her hair. I guess not. Well, that's true too. I mean, this idea that, look, I saw it as Chris Rock making a movie joke. Obviously, Jada Pinkett Smith shaved her head. She looked great. She looked beautiful. She's a beautiful woman. And Chris Rock, I mean, they were sitting in the front. A comedian sees somebody, makes a comment about G.I. Jane. And let's face it, anyone who's seen G.I. Jane knows that Demi Moore was hot AF. She looked fantastic. So it's not exactly a put down. I think that Chris Rock was making an innocuous joke. And obviously it was first accepted as an innocuous joke. And then things went a little different. Snorbius. Snorbius says, Morbius is meh. 20 years ago, it would have been another schlocky comic book movie. Things have changed. We shouldn't encourage this cash grab. While the Morbius writers will do Madam Web, Craven gets the Transformers Last Night writer. Is that true? For why, Sony? Well, again, unfortunately, in Hollywood, a studio would rather hire other writers who have previously written studio movies, no matter what they are, than hire writers who haven't written studio movies, because they can cover or hedge their bets that way. It might seem strange, because then you ask yourselves, well, how do you know whether the movies are going to be good or not? Well, you don't. I know it's a weird thing to do, but unfortunately, that's kind of the way of the world. I did not know that Craven is getting Transformers The Last Night writer. That's not good. I'd rather, why can't they get like the John Wick writers or something? Spud Queen says, regarding Moon Knight, if you're interested in learning more about dissociative identity disorder in a fictional setting, there's a really good book to read. A really good book to read is Set This House in Order by Matt Ruff. It's a great story by one of my favorite authors. Thanks, and bring on the filthy. That sounds really interesting. All right, Spud Queen, I will look that up. Set This House in Order by Matt Ruff. That's something to put on my list. Spud Queen goes on to say, Rob says, have you heard of the podcast Mission Log? Yes. John Campea hosts that, doesn't he? They've been going episode by episode, including the animated series movie by movie through Star Trek, examining messages, morals, and meanings. Currently on Voyager, curious of your opinion. I love everybody doing that. I think they're great. A fellow adopted Seattleite. So Spud Queen, yes, I know those people, and it's a great podcast. I love it. And I think Roddenberry produces that podcast. Rod Roddenberry's company produces that podcast. So no, I'm a fan. Mitchell Adams sends in a tip and says, waiting for Morbius to start, and Regal had an ad talking about the multiverse of madness and mentioned the rumored Deadpool cameo. Really? I know it's not official word and you have said Ryan's not in it, but this is starting to feel advertised like Andrew in No Way Home. Well, as far as I know, and I've been privy to what John knows, I don't think that Ryan Reynolds is in Deadpool, but maybe that's just semantics. Who knows? I don't know. But I've heard pretty much definitively that he is not, but that could always change. You know, they got 2 months. Well, they don't have 2 months now, but they could film something and throw it in there. In this day and age, you never know. I don't believe anybody when it comes to these Marvel movies until I've actually seen them. So we shall see. Mitchell Adams sends in a tip and says, second question, what are your thoughts if Grant Gustin took over the role from Ezra in the Flash movie? Also, newish to the show, you guys are awesome. What can I say? I have not heard your thoughts on the Flash show, but I think Grant is great, but the show has been bad. Well, we've talked about how the Flash started great, but then how many Flash stories really are there? You know, it's tough. I mean, it's a hard thing to do to keep those stories going, but yeah, I don't think it's great. Look, if they were to reshoot the Flash, it would cost incredible amounts of money, and it would be incredibly difficult to do. I think the best thing that they can do is get Ezra Miller the help he needs, have him make a public apology, and use the Flash. There's enough time. It's not coming out for another year, so there's time where you can do some rehab on his image, and maybe he can throw himself on the mercy of the public and profusely apologize after maybe a stint in rehab or whatever is wrong there, and we'll figure it out. Alex sends in a tip and says, so I've been playing Halo a very long time. Halo 3 or Reach are my go-tos. I watched the show knowing it wasn't going to be directly canon. I enjoyed it. I know hardcore fans didn't. I hope Halo Reach happens in this storyline, makes the Covenant look scary. Well, Alex, I only played the first Halo game and I liked it. I have not caught up with the show yet, but Ray is liking it. Ray Orr is like my litmus test about this. Hopefully, if he likes it, if Ray Orr likes it, hell, then I'll like it. Yes, indeed. Indeed. So I hope it's good. If you like it, that's good. I mean, I love hearing that. Adam says, now that Top Gun 2 is coming out over under 10%, that Charlie Sheen comes back as Topper Harley for Hot Shots 3. Wow. Well, Charlie Sheen is starring in Doug Ellen, the creator of Entourage. Doug Ellen has shot, I guess it's a pilot, for a new show called Ramble On. He's the star of it, along with some of the Kevin Dillon's in it, and even Martin Sheen's in this. So, you know what? If somebody wanted to make, would that be Hot Shots Part? What's Tres? Tre? I don't put anything past anyone these days. I really don't. You just never know. You just never know. Johnny 5 is alive. Hey, crew. I've been watching for many years now, and more than I can remember. I have to say, this show is the best it's ever been. You know why? Me. It's all about me. No, I like how everyone in the studio is included and given an equal chance to say what's on their mind. Well done, and keep it up. You know what, Johnny 5? First of all, thank you for noticing. 2, I've been on YouTube. Actually, this month is my 7th anniversary of being on YouTube. I started on YouTube 7 years ago with John Schnepp and John Campea on the 6th episode of Collider Heroes. And while I used to love streaming with Coy and Amy Dallin and John Schnepp and John Campea, I agree with you. I think, streaming with Chris Carr and Aaron and streaming with Ray and John, I mean, the dynamic, it's so much fun to be in that room and to be bouncing off each other and pinging around like ping pong balls. It's really fun. And I think we're all having a great time. And I know that when I hear you as a viewer, Johnny 5, that you're alive now. I'm happy that you're alive, but I'm also happy that you notice, because obviously John, one of the things I've learned from John on YouTube is that it's all about the viewer experience, really. That what you want is you want to provide your viewers with a great experience. And I think John does that. And to hear that it's coming through on the show is great. And so I love that that is the case. I love that you feel that way, Johnny 5. And nice short circuit reference. Anonymous sends in a tip and says, hey, John and company, what if in another multiverse Will Smith struck Chris Rock and we see Chris bleed through the nose, or worse, knocks him out? Will there be talks of stripping him of his Oscar win and banning him for life or jail time? Thanks. Well, Anonymous, thank God that didn't happen. And as I said earlier, before I started recording this, Will Smith has completely resigned from the Academy. I mean, maybe forever. And, I don't know how I feel about that, because I've been a Will Smith fan for, decades now. I mean, even Independence Day came out in 1996, and if that was the first time, this is way before Parents Just Don't Understand, DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, which predated the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I mean, he's been around for over 3 decades, and he's done a lot of great film work, and I don't like the idea that Will has had to do this. I mean, look, for whatever reason, he got angry. I don't condone it at all. I think it was really shitty. But, he seems repentant, and maybe he'll learn from this. But I would hate to think that I don't want him to retire. I don't. And I know he just stepped down from the Academy. He did win an Academy Award, which not a lot of people in life have done, for Best Actor, and he certainly worked hard. And I think it's a bad thing all the way around. But luckily, we don't have to think about what happened in the multiverse, but it would probably be worse if he did what you said. Matt Sim says, hi, John and Rob. For me, Stephen Graham is the most underrated actor in the world right now. His work is consistently Oscar-worthy, and I cannot believe he has never even been nominated. His recent work in Boiling Point and Line of Duty is among his best. Yes, you know what? But I think great actors eventually will be discovered. Those kinds of things, working consistently like that, eventually I think you'll be recognized. What he needs to do is he's got to be in a movie. Not that Boiling Point and Line of Duty are not great things to be in, but he's got to be in a movie that has that aura of Best Picture or Academy Award worthiness. That's what he needs, and he'll find it. He'll find it. But again, he's just got to find that right piece of material. And that's the tough part. That's the hard part. Devin says, hey, John and crew. Well, today is the day for me. I plan on seeing Morbius tonight. Heard nothing but bad reviews, but I'm going to see it for myself. What did you think of it? I'm glad to officially be part of your community. Hope to meet you guys one day. Cheers. Well, Devin, you know, we have fan screenings where we've met people in the past. They're so much fun meeting everybody. You know, we talked a lot about Morbius on the show today. I just thought it was a missed opportunity. I thought it was really mediocre. I thought that it represented a time that I thought had gone away pretty much forever. Like, I don't know why people are making movies like this now, especially 22 years after Bryan Singer's X-Men changed modern movies, modern comic book movies. I mean, you think back to the 90s, even the original Blade, Stephen Norrington's Blade, it was so much more fun than Morbius. And The Crow. They just announced, by the way, that Bill Skarsgård's going to play Eric Draven today in a remake of The Crow. They've been trying to remake The Crow forever. And how many people have been The Crow? It's a lot. More people than The Flash, I think. But, yeah, it just wasn't good. It wasn't fun, and it wasn't... I mean, there's some things about it that I liked. It just didn't hold together. It just felt sloppy, and that it felt like it was kind of Frankenstein together by the studio. It wasn't awful. It just was like, well, that's what... a movie that leaves me meh, to me, is always the kiss of death, unfortunately. So, kind of bummed me out, to be honest. Scott Brown says, what's Warner Brothers doing with this Blue Beetle movie, casting George Lopez and Sharon Stone as the villain? She's 62 and hasn't had a major acting credit since 2004 in Catwoman. Well, she's done a lot of great things. She hasn't been in a big movie, but she's done a lot of great work. Also, they need to release The Flash before Ezra Miller does anything else stupid. Well, hopefully they'll get Ezra Miller the help he needs. But you know what? I mean, I think in this day and age, people are doing great work. They're doing all kinds of work depending on how old they are, you know, and we have to see. I mean, it sounds like Sharon Stone might be playing Ted Kord's mom. I don't know. And I love George Lopez, but we'll see. I mean, it's hard to say. I hope they make it more of a serious movie, but Blue Beetle's always been kind of a comedic character in a way. I love Ted Kord and Booster Gold and Blue Beetle together. So we'll see. But I go into that movie with trepidation. Let's just say that, with trepidation. I hope it's good. I want it to be good. And come on, I can't resist Sharon Stone, to be honest. I love her. This comes from Matt Sim, 1 of 3. Hi, John. Have you heard anything more about Paddington 3's production? I heard they will begin filming later this year, but not much else has come out. For me, Paddington 2 is a perfect film and one of the top 5 greatest motion pictures ever made. Ben Whishaw is great, and Hugh Bonneville, Julie Walters, and Brendan Gleeson are standouts. If the third film is on par with the first two, where will the trilogy rank overall in your mind? For me, it will instantly be a top 5 trilogy of all time. Well, Matt Sim, let me tell you, I mean, for me, the subject matter is not as, say, interesting as The Godfather or The Road Warrior or Star Wars, things like that. However, that said, if you just look at it as a trilogy of films, first of all, I've not heard anything about the production of Paddington 3, but it wouldn't surprise me that, I thought the first 2 were delightful films, and Paddington 2 was terrific. So, judging by that, if Paddington 3 is made and it's of the same quality as Paddington 1 and 2, I think that you could call it one of the best film trilogies of all time. But I don't think you're going to ever convince the world at large just because of its subject matter. I mean, it's delightful, but for me, if this makes any sense, it's not as cool as Star Wars or The Road Warrior. I mean, it doesn't, but that doesn't mean it's not great. And if Paddington 3 is great, then just in terms of quality, I think it could definitely be considered one of the great trilogies of all time. At least trilogies in the sense that it's 3 movies about the same character, and each one of them is tremendous. I think I think the cool factor isn't there, if that makes any sense. I mean, maybe I'm off base on this, but that, how cool is, that's completely subjective. But in terms of movies that deliver the goods, and if you have 3 movies in a series like the Paddington series, if the third one's tremendous, then that's a conversation. That is a conversation. And I think you wouldn't necessarily be wrong about that. So I'm with you. I am with you on that. We'll see. Wait, you have a third. You're going here. I didn't read your third question here. So Matt continues. Matt Sim continues. All I ask for the third film is another post-credit dance number from Hugh Grant and another cameo from Simon Farnaby as the security guard. He's a bit of a cult legend here in the UK from his work in Horrible Histories on the BBC. Thanks. Who doesn't want that, Matt? And I don't know what the producers are thinking. I don't know them, but that doesn't sound like too big of an ask. I think, look, obviously the first Paddingtons are they're just great movies. They're really well done. They're really well considered. You know what? The filmmakers, the producers, the directors, they really knew what they were doing. And so did the actors. And everyone was on the same page. They all knew what movie they were making, and it just shined through. But you're not wrong there, man. Ben from Britain. One of 3. Ben from Britain says, "Hi, John and crew. Fan of the show from the UK here. Apparently, we have a lot of UK viewers today. Thank you. Went to a screen unseen event at my local Odeon cinema this week. And as the event is advertised as a usually early screening of a highly anticipated movie, I was a little surprised to be presented with a movie I'd never heard of called The Novice. Ooh. And while I enjoyed it and found the experience of seeing a film with zero knowledge or anticipation very refreshing, I can't help feeling that with Morbius released this week, there may have been a last-minute change of plan." That's interesting. I can't speak to that. I don't know The Novice. Look, I think it's always great to be able to see a film that you've never heard anything about. I really like that when that happens because, we hear so much about everything all the time now. It would be really cool to just get a movie that I have no preconceived notions about. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's happening. I love that idea, and but you didn't say what it was about. Was it good? I don't know if Morbius affected it at all, but now you've got me. Now you've got me curious. I want to know what The Novice is about. A novice at what? There's so many things. Was it about, like, when just hearing the title, I'm like, is it about a killer that's never killed anybody yet? Somebody a sniper who's never taken his first victim? I don't know. Is it someone who's never made love to a person? Man or woman, they could both be the novice, or however they identify, the novice, or it could be somebody, an astronaut that is a stowaway on a spaceship, a novice astronaut. I don't know what it's about. But I love the fact that you had an experience where you went to the theater not knowing what you were going to see. I love that idea. I wish they would do that in America. I think that could be a pretty big thing here. Another Marvel podcast sends in a tip and says, "What do you think of Oscar Isaac saying he only signed on for 1 season of Moon Knight? I'm glad we could get standalone stories from the MCU, but I also want this character to cross over eventually." Well, he absolutely could. I think that, Moon Knight, because Moon Knight's not a huge character, that they don't know whether or not it works. And if Moon Knight becomes a big hit for the streamer, then definitely they'll make another season, sign him on. They probably have an option of something. Because even though he only signed on for 1 season, they probably defined in his contract, if they do more than 1 season, how that would work out. So, look, I would love to see Oscar Isaac come back. I've only seen 1 episode of Moon Knight, but everyone says, even the people that have seen 4 episodes, how good it is. And I too, I want to see West Coast Avengers now with Moon Knight. If it's a series or a movie, bring it on. I'd love to see it. Because you know me, I love me some Moon Knight. Anonymous Joe sends in a tip and says, "Hey, John and crew, I was wondering, do any of you guys watch movie reviews by others? If so, who is your favorite? I recently started watching reviews on TikTok by user TatDaddy23. He actually mentions the John Campea Show and tags the whole team. Check it out. Tat Daddy 23. Oh, that's very nice of him to do that. I'll have to look. I mean, I've always liked Jeremy Johns and Chris Stuckman. You know, I find that they have a fairly measured, good approach. I really like their reviews, and you know, I sometimes will watch like Grace Randolph or something, and then I watch some of my fellow Schmodown members, former Schmodown compatriots. You know, like I'll watch John Roca now and again, stuff like that. Dan Murrell, I really like Dan Murrell a lot. I think he does great reviews. Dan Murrell is a very smart guy, and I enjoy his reviews as well. So those are people that I watch. Ethan H, 1 of 3. Hi, John and/or Rob. Hello, Ethan H. So I'm wondering if we're seeing Sony's history repeat itself. Remember back when they were planning all of those movies for a Sonyverse, Sinister Six, Black Cat, Aunt May, etc., and then Andrew's Amazing Spider-Man 2 happened, and all those plans were shelved. And the next thing we know, Spider-Man is in the MCU. Now, here we are today, where they've had some successes with Venom 1 and 2. Not a big fan personally, but I can't deny they made money, and they're planning all of these projects. I know, Ethan H., with Craven, Madam Web, and now I guess Sinister Six, but Morbius isn't great, and it strikes me as Sony getting ahead of themselves in pursuit of their own cinematic universe again. I don't know, to me it seems awfully familiar. Thoughts? Well, Ethan H., we were talking about this today on the John Campea Show. Couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I just feel that when I looked at Morbius, I'm like, what is this? It felt like there was so much, I don't know, call it studio interference. It just felt like I'm watching something that was really sort of, it was half-baked or it was overcooked. I didn't really understand what were they trying to accomplish with all of this. It felt like what I was watching didn't really work, and it didn't feel like there was a lot of vision there. Here's the thing. I wish people would understand, unless you have a team of producers that are working across all of these movies and planning how they all are integrated, it doesn't work. And the only person who's ever been able to pull it off is Kevin Feige and his team, Louis D'Esposito and Victoria Alonso and everybody working at Marvel. If you're not following their lead, and look, they look at Marvel like, we want to do just like what they did with the Marvel Cinematic Universe over here at Sony, but you can't if you don't have a plan. And it doesn't feel like there's a plan there. Morbius was a film that did not have a strong enough producing team coming along and saying, okay, this is what we have to do. This is how we have to make this movie. And the thing is, studios are not set up to do that. Marvel Studios had these creators in place. Kevin Feige produced 14 Marvel movies, if you include Man-Thing, 14 Marvel movies before the Marvel Cinematic Universe even started. He saw what worked. He saw what didn't work. He saw what kinds of directors made the best kinds of movies. He saw which process of movie making worked better. He understands what Kevin Feige is doing and what is so brilliant, and which is what every franchise in Hollywood that expects to have any kind of life, you must have a producing team in place that's going to produce all these movies. That they're the ones, they don't just hire directors and people to go make these movies. They work synergistically with their filmmakers. The studios are like, here's what we want to make. We want you to work with us. We need your thing. But keep in mind that unlike a lot of other movies, we're not going to let you run off as some auteur and make whatever. We are going to work with you synergistically to make sure that we're all on the same page. It's more like a TV show, really, where you've got producers that are the showrunners that are overseeing everything that's going on. And Sony needs that, and the reason that they've fallen into the same trap with Morbius is because they do not have Kevin Feige, nor do they have somebody overseeing just the Spider-Verse. And Amy Pascal's not the person to do it. They need a creative production team that knows everything about these characters. I don't think they understand how Venom works with Morbius, works with Kraven the Hunter, works with Madam Web. I don't think they do. And unless they do that, it's never going to work. And you're absolutely right, Ethan. they're right back where they started from after Amazing Spider-Man 2. They really are. Simon says, food for thought concerning Will Smith. Could it be possible that beyond our perception of Will being a straight-up good guy, that maybe he really is not? And really a great actor up to the awards, that his facade cracked over a joke and not read diaries? It's possible. Look, I think that anybody who works in the arts is a little wacky. I've worked in the arts my whole life. I've met most of my friends are somehow working in the arts or performers or something. And I mean, it could very well be that, the pressure is there. There's a lot of money involved when you're in the public eye. It really, it puts the zap on your head. It's not easy. And I'm not saying, oh, woe is me. And it's not just about the fame. It's not just about the money. It's tough, man. It's tough. It's hard. And, especially if you've been in it for a long time, it's hard to have a relationship. It's hard to have a family. I'm not excusing the behavior. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot we don't know. Remember, when we see celebrities, that image is a carefully crafted image. And seldom do we ever get an idea of what people are really like behind the scenes. We just don't. You don't see that very much. And you might be right about that. But again, I've only met Will Smith once in person, and he was very personable and very nice, and yeah. So I can't really speak to what you're saying, but I've seen it certainly happen in the past. Well, Simon, that you are the last person in today's mailbag. First of all, obviously, I would love to thank everyone for generously supporting the channel through your tips, through the mailbag. Remember, you can send us questions, and if we deem them appropriate, through our tip channel, or tip link, which you can see down below, we will read your question here on the show. Again, I want to thank everybody for generously supporting the John Campea Show. All of us at the show, we really appreciate it. And we like that you give us great things to talk about. It's a lot of fun. I love doing these mailbags. Are a lot of fun for me. I want to say that I've lived here for the last 5 years in this house. I am leaving this house. This will be the last mailbag I do in my what I call the Raw Observatory. As you can see, the shelves are starting to be emptied. Things are going away, and I'll be in a new place when I see you next, working solo, doing a mailbag. My name is Robert Meyer Burnett. You can follow me on Instagram at RMBurnett. Follow me on Twitter at BurnettRM, or you can always find me, if you're not finding me on the John Campea Show, on my YouTube channel, The Burnett Work. You can also find me at the Post Geek Singularity, or just postgeeksingularity.com. That's my website. You can send me letters there personally if you'd like. Once again, I'm Robert Meyer Burnett, and this is the John Campea Show mailbag for Friday, April 1st. Thank you all for your support.